Hello, it is me again, and this video I am going to show you how to search in OneSearch. The other video was just an overview of OneSearch, but this video will be to show you how to actually search in OneSearch. So I always like to start in the advanced search feature because I feel like I like the boxes. So let's go ahead and we're going to be looking at genetic testing and ethics. Okay, so let's pretend my research topic is genetic testing and ethics. So I'm going to put in genetic testing and I'm going to put in ethics, but I'm going to use this asterisk. So I have two things going on here. I have put genetic testing in quotations because I'm telling the computer, please find me these two words together. Okay, that's what I'm telling this search engine. And then I am using ethic with the asterisk because I'm also telling the computer, please find me any word that begins with ethic. So it can be ethical or ethics. And so the computer will find that. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And then these are my results. So right now I have 9,000 results, which is a lot. And so I need to narrow this search down. And I'm going to narrow this down in a couple of ways. I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side and I'm going to choose peer-reviewed journals because I know that's what my professor wants to use. And I'm going to choose articles. And then I'm going to change my publication date because I know my professor wants me to have something a little more current. For our purposes, I'm going to go back to the year 2020. I'm going to go ahead and point out these are other ways that I can limit my search. I can limit it by the subject. I can limit it by the library. This is really useful when you're looking at print information, library collection, journal title. You can see some of the journal titles here. I could limit it that way. I can limit it by language. I only speak one language, so I'm going to choose English. And then I could choose only materials from the last month, from the last week. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and keep these. I'm going to click on apply my filters. And then I'm going to click on this lock so that any changes that I make, the computer will have these filters for me locked. And so now, oh, good. So my results are narrowed down a little bit. This is still a little bit too high, but that's okay for right now, right? Because I'm just going to walk you through a couple of things. Let's talk about primary sources because those are the sources that primary sources in biotechnology can be news sources. They can be research articles. What we're looking at here, they can be empirical studies. Once again, what we're looking at here, and they can also be lab notebooks. Secondary sources are literature reviews, or scholarly books, or meta-analysis. And hopefully we'll come across some of those so that I can point those out to you. Primary sources are original documents for research, and secondary sources, they summarize that original research. So now your job is to go through these articles and decide if they're relevant to your particular topic. So let's go ahead. I want to point this one out here. Direct-to-consumer genetic testing, an updated systematic review. So right away, I know that this is a review article. So it is not the same as original research. It is going to be reviewing other articles. And that's the point that I want to make between the primary and the secondary. And sometimes here's another systematic review. And sometimes you can see it right away in the title. And then sometimes it'll say a review, but then you can go in and you can tell the difference. So let's go ahead. Let's do ethical concerns of direct-to-consumer genetic testing. Going to click on that one. And then let's see, I know that it's peer-reviewed. It's an open access journal. I can read it online by clicking there. But before I do that, I am going to look at my subject headings. Okay, ethics is a subject heading, genetic testing. So this is how our catalog, these are how, this is how this journal article is categorized by subject. And that's how the what is it? The search engine pulled them. And so if one of these was something new that I wasn't using, then I'd write that down and maybe search that later. So I am actually looking for a description, but I don't see one. So let me try another article. Are we going too far? Are we not going too far? Okay, so let's click on this one. I'm not saying that that other article was not good. I just wanted to show you guys this, the description. So you can read this description when it's available. An interview study with 31 healthcare professionals involved in reproductive study and genetics. And so this was an interview with healthcare providers. And so, here's more of my subject headings, ethics, child. So maybe I do, right? I still need to, I'm going to write down child. I still need to narrow my search, but now I need to read this, decide, is this relevant to my topic? Okay, yes, I've decided I want to use this article. So I am going to, I can click on read online, may be available online. We have several options here for you to do. But I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on science journals, science direct journals. Are we going too far? Are we not going too far? And I'm going to close, I want to close that. And then I'm going to point out the view PDF. So when I click on there, I'm going to open up the PDF view of this particular journal article. So this is the article as it was published in the electronic journal. So you can see that I have access to the entire journal. If there were figures or images, they would show on here too. So now your job would be to go in and download this article so that you have it saved on your computer. I'm going to go, let me point out that now you have access to the references on here and they are highlighted so that you can go back, you can click on them and find those particular articles. So let's click on one of them and then it'll take you to that article. And luckily, for example, this one, it says download PDF. And so I actually have access to this particular article. So then let me go back. So that's called using your references, right? If I know this article is exactly what I need for my topic, then I can mine their references and see, ooh, if any of these other articles were pertain to my topic. So I do want to point out when we saw the PDF, it was over here. So view PDF. Sometimes it's in the middle of the screen, sometimes it's over here to the right. Not every journal article that you open up is going to look like this. So you're always going to be looking for the full text or the view PDF so you can open it up and save it onto your computer. So let's go back to our to our search. Okay, so now I'm going to add, because I want to narrow my search strategy here, and I'm going to put child, right? Because that was one of the subject headings that we saw. And I don't need to put it in quotation marks because it's just one word, but I could put an asterisk on it because now it can say children, childhood. So any words beginning with child. So I'm going to go ahead and click search again. I see my filters are locked and I'm going to click search. And now I have 516 results. I could narrow this down by limiting my dates again, or by limiting my subject, or I only want to see the new records from the last month or so. And then if I wanted to narrow it down even more, I could add another search term to narrow it down. So here we go, 309 genetic testing in childhood, ethics and practice, genetic testing for psychiatric illnesses, to do or not to do. So now you have to go through and see if any of these align with your topic. I don't see any reviews. Okay, so before I stop this, I want to share with you a couple of the icons that you have here. So this is an add button, but if you want to save an item, you do need to be signed in. So you will sign in here, your name will appear right here, and then when you click this button, you can go to your saved items. So, but you do need to be signed in. This item is if you want to email the link to yourself, you could email this permalink, copy it, and you could email it to yourself. You could also click the email there to get it sent to yourself, to your email address. This is a citation generator, which means that it will generate a citation for you. However, please always double check your citations because more than likely there is something missing, there is something incorrect in this citation. You can copy and paste it, put it in your reference list, but always double check it. The other two things I want to point out for you is these two red arrows. This arrow says find sources that cite this article, and this arrow says find sources cited in this particular article. And so you can click on either one of these, whichever one you want. I want to find all the sources that cite this particular article. I know this article is what I want to use. I want to use this article, but I want to know what other sources have cited it. So I'm going to click on here and the computer does the work for you. So all that we have access to, because I'm sure there's more citations than one, but all that the library has access to is this particular article. But there it is. So I'm going to go back and which one did I use? I think I did this one. And so now find sources that are cited in this particular article. And there's 23. And these are the ones the library has access to. So these are all the articles that are cited in this article. And so I might have been wrong with this one. There may only be one citation. So only one person citing this particular article. And so, just as a reminder, I am going to, if you're in here and you're researching and you need help, you can click on Chat with the Librarian. Here are our hours. Actually, we need to update these hours. So sorry, it says 10 a.m. But we are actually open 12 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But you will talk with a live librarian. And we can help you talk about primary sources, secondary sources. We can help you narrow down your topic. For example, let's see, what if we only wanted to, I'm trying to think. So kidney, let's put in genetic testing, ethics, children, and then kidney disease. Let's see how much that narrows it down for us. So now we have 14 results, and this is great because I can see myself, right, looking through all these 14 articles to see if it's something that I want to use, right, instead of 1,000. And so that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to narrow down your topic as much as possible so that you are only looking through a reasonable amount of articles so that you can decide which is relevant, which is not relevant. If you're having trouble finding the right keywords or if you're having trouble finding the right subject headings, then that's where librarians can help you. And then don't forget to use your save features. And you can also, once you're signed in, you can also save your entire searches. And then don't forget you have access to interlibrary loan, which I talked about in the other video. And so if you find an article and find that we don't have full text access to it, then you can always do interlibrary loan.